Welcome everyone to yoga, gentle yoga. So if you have your mat, that's great. Maybe you have some blocks. If not, we can work without them. Perhaps you have a blanket. And if you have anything to use as a strap, that could be helpful too. So my name's Micki and this is gentle yoga. So I'm just gonna make my way onto my mat. And I just got this fancy meditation pillow, but this is not required. But come to arrive in any seated position. Actually, you know what? No, scratch that. I'm gonna move this out of the way. Let's come to lying on our backs. It's always my favorite when my yoga teacher says, come to lying on your back. So let's come into a constructive rest pose. And you can go ahead and walk your feet as wide as your mat. Allow your knees to gently tent together. Soften your shoulders down away from your ears. Just allow yourself to come into the present moment. Relaxing onto the earth. Allowing the strong, steady ground to rise to support you. And as you arrive into this constructive rest position, just allow the knees to fall together. And start to tune into your breath. You might even bring your hands onto your belly and sense the rise and fall of your breath. You might imagine yourself laying on sand, allowing the sand to cradle you, and feeling your impression of your body, unique imprint that you make on the earth. You might have a sense this morning that you have an intention for your practice. Maybe something you'd like to cultivate, or even something you'd like to release. And you can allow that intention to plant itself at your heart center. Imagining with each breath that intention can grow itself through your entire body. Anytime your thoughts get distracted about maybe thoughts of the past or plans for the future, allow yourself to gently come back to the intention you set for your practice. Allow yourself to come back to the present moment. Allowing for compassion and curiosity. From here, we'll invite a little bit of gentle movement, allowing the knees to gently fall over to the left. Maybe you send your gaze gently over to the right. Take a moment to pause and notice the sensations. And on your next inhale, we'll bring the nose and knees back up to center. And then exhale, allow the knees to fall over to the right. Maybe the nose can fall over to the left. Just take a moment to pause. Take a deep breath here. And then you can gently begin to windshield wiper the knees from side to side. Maybe allowing the gaze to switch from left to right. Feeling a gentle stretch on the neck. And this gentle twist. Go ahead and take one more round on each side. And when you're ready, we'll meet up in center. You can walk the heels in towards the sit bones. Bring the hands down next to the hips. And with your next inhale breath, float the arms up overhead, reaching them up past the ears. And exhale, you can lower the hands down next to the hips. Pressing the hands down next to the hips, we'll inhale to lift the hips up, coming into bridge. And exhale to gently lower the spine back down, one vertebrae at a time. On the next inhale, go ahead and rainbow the arms back up overhead, reaching them up past the ears. And exhale to lower them back down next to your hips. Inhale, this time we'll lift the hips. And exhale, gently lower it back down. Go ahead and alternate arms and hips, following the pace of your own breath. We'll take 3 more rounds like this. Inhaling, lifting the arms, and exhaling, lowering them back down. Inhale to lift the hips, and exhale to gently lower. And one more time. And on your last bridge, you might want to hold it for a few rounds of breath. You could shimmy the arms underneath the body if you'd like to interlace the hands behind you. But remember that you have options here, so feel free to explore whatever feels best for you and your body today. And if your arms are clasped, go ahead and release the fingers. Allow the spine to rock back down to the ground. And then you can hug the knees into the chest, maybe grasping hold behind the knees or on top of the shins. Gently rock a little side to side. Let's go ahead and bring the feet up towards the sky. You can walk the hands up towards the ankles or maybe the knife edge of the foot, drawing the knees towards the armpits. We'll find a little bit of sensation here in happy baby pose. You might gently rock a little side to side, maybe stretching one leg long and falling on the opposite knee. You might allow the edges of your mouth to curl up and smile warmly upon yourself, seeing yourself in this childlike shape. And when you're ready, you can release your feet. And we'll roll onto our right side, coming into a fetal position, resting your head on your bicep. And then whenever you're ready, you can press yourself up into a seat. And we'll come into a cross-legged position. This is where your blanket might be helpful. So if you had a blanket or a cushion, it can help elongate the spine. So you might just shimmy the blanket right under the edge of your seat. I like to have my sit bones kind of cascading off the edge of the blanket. Once you arrive in your seat, allow your shoulders to melt away from your ears. You might close your eyes and once more take a moment to revisit your intention for your practice. With your next inhale, we'll sweep the arms up overhead and look up. Exhale to draw the hands to the heart center. And gently bow the head towards the heart. Go ahead and interlace the palms here, and you can flutter your eyes open. Press the palms forward as you arch the spine back. Inhale to straighten it up towards the sky. Exhale, we'll rotate to the left. And then you can release your hands down to come into a twist. Send your gaze behind your left shoulder. With each inhale, lengthening the spine. And each exhale will twist you a little more deeply. With your next exhale, allow the chin to trace the front of the chest. And you can send the gaze forward past your right shoulder. Take one more nice deep breath here. And on your next exhale, you can release. We'll inhale to sweep the arms back up overhead. Exhale to draw the hands to the heart center. And go ahead and bow towards the wisdom of your heart. Let's interlace the fingers, maybe the opposite way this time. Pressing the palms forward, arching the spine back. Inhale to reach the arms up overhead. And then we'll exhale to rotate to the right, releasing the hands down. And come into a twist, sending your gaze behind your right shoulder. On your next exhale, allow your chin to trace the front of your chest. And you can turn your gaze past your left shoulder. On your next inhale, go ahead and release that. Coming back to center, we'll bring our hands onto our knees and then roll your shoulders up towards your ears. Exhale, allow them to cascade down the back. Inhale, roll them up. And exhale, allow them to fall down the back. Let's take a few more rotations in this direction. Inhaling to roll them up. And exhale to softly roll them down. And you might begin to rotate one shoulder at a time. Feeling the length you can create from the top of one shoulder down the diagonal towards the bottom of the opposite shoulder blade. And then when you're ready, we'll reverse the direction of our toggle, bringing the shoulders up from behind, around and down in front. Let's go ahead and sync up the movement. So start to draw the shoulder blades together in the back, and then inhale to bring them up towards the ears. Exhale to allow them to cascade down in front. Inhale to bring them back together, shrugging them up towards the ears, and exhale to allow them to cascade down in front. And one more time like this. We'll go ahead and reach the arms out wide to the sides. You can bring the right thumb down. Allow that hand to rest on the low back. And then we'll bring the left arm up and over. Allow the left ear to fall towards the shoulder. Just find a nice gentle stretch through the right side of the neck. Without tugging, just allowing the weight of your left hand to rest on your temple. Imagine you were able to create length down the side of the right side of your neck, maybe imagining your breath like the wave of an ocean, smoothing out any areas of tension or holding. And then you can bring your left hand over to your left temple and lift your head back up to center. With your next inhale, we'll press the walls away with the hands. And then you can bring the palms facing forward, and this time we'll rotate the left thumb down. Allow the left hand to slide onto your low back, and then we'll bring the right hand overhead and allow the right ear to come towards the right shoulder, finding length through the side of the left neck. And just allow the weight of the right hand to rest on the temple without pressing or tugging. Just allow gravity to soften any areas of tension. Let's take one more nice deep breath here. And then when you're ready, you can bring your right hand to your right temple and go ahead and press your head back up to center. We'll bring the hands back onto the knees. And let's go ahead and take a few rounds of cat and cow in the seated position. So on your next exhale, you can arch your spine back like cat. Inhale, reach the heart forward for cow. Go ahead and take a few rounds, following the pace of your own breath. Now we'll start to bring the heart into a circle. So you can bring the hands onto the knees again here. Just start to trace a circle with the heart. Feeling into all of the different movements of the spine. And we'll take one more round in this direction. And then when you're ready, you can switch directions. When you're ready, we'll come back to center, and you can remove your cushion from underneath your seat. And let's make our way to hands and knees. You can either slide your feet around behind you, or you might rock over the top of your shins, and then extend your legs behind you. Let's stack the hands underneath the shoulders. If you're having any discomfort in the wrists, you could always come onto fists, or if you have blocks, you might bring the forearms onto blocks. Just be careful if you're doing this so that you have enough stability. Let's take a few rounds of cat and cow here. So on your next inhale, go ahead and drop the heart for cow pose, dropping the belly, curving the spine, and then exhale, rounding into cat, drawing the navel towards the spine. We'll take a few rounds here of cat and cow and just notice the difference in the sensations that you feel from this position versus when we were doing the same movements seated. Now we'll start to begin to trace a circle with the belly button. Imagining you're tracing the inside of a hula hoop. When you're ready, you can go ahead and reverse the direction of your circle. Feeling free to pause at any interesting places or areas that need extra attention. Go ahead and take one more round in this direction. And we'll come back to center. And from here, let's come back to hands and knees. We'll bring our knees a little wider than hips distance. Bring the big toes to touch. And then you can sink the hips back and walk the arms out in front for child's pose. Maybe you can allow the forehead to rest on the mat. If it doesn't quite make it all the way there, you could take a pillow or a block underneath the forehead, or you could even stack the palms to rest the forehead. Take a moment to tune into your breath. When you're ready, we'll walk the hands over to the right, reaching the left arm long away from the left hip. You might turn your gaze underneath the right shoulder. Take one more nice deep breath there, allowing the breath to cascade down the left side of the body. And then we'll lift up and walk the hands over to the left, reaching the right hand away from the left or the right hip. Then you might rest the right temple, turning your gaze underneath the left shoulder. And then when you're ready, we'll come back to center. You can take one more nice deep breath in child's pose. Once you come back to center, let's come on to the forearms now. And we'll bring the knees back underneath the hips. And then you can extend the left leg behind you, tucking the toes under, pressing the heel towards the mat, finding length through the back of the calf, sending the breath cascading down the back of the left leg. You could stay right here, or if you'd like, you can cross the left leg over to the right. Maybe walk the forearms over to the right. Just noticing here where you have sensation. Maybe you gaze back at your left heel. And then we'll come back to center. And you can bring the left knee back underneath the hip. And this time we'll extend the right leg long behind us, tucking the toes under, pressing the heel towards the mat. Finding a nice stretch for the back of the leg and the calf as you actively press the heel towards the ground. On your next exhale, you might cross the right leg over to the left. Maybe you walk the forearms over to the left. And just noticing, observing, where do you notice sensation in the body? Allowing for compassion and curiosity. And we'll come back to center. And this time, let's come up onto hands and knees for a brief moment. We'll bring the knees a little wider than hips distance. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and sweep the left arm up towards the sky and look up. On your next exhale, we'll float the left arm underneath the body or thread the needle, bringing it underneath and resting on that shoulder. You can allow the temple to rest. And the legs are like child's pose with the knees wide. Maybe the big toes come to touch. You could support your weight here with your right hand. Or if you'd like to deepen the stretch, you might walk the right fingertips out in front like child's pose. Or maybe you spin the right hand around and allow the back of the hand to rest at the low back. Finding whatever works for you today in your body. And just noticing how it can change from day to day or side to side. And with your next exhale, you can allow the right hand to slide off of the back and plant it underneath the right shoulder. We'll press into the right hand and then inhale to open up the left arm up towards the sky and exhale to release that side. Let's switch sides. Inhale, open the right arm up towards the sky. And then exhale to thread the needle under, coming onto the shoulder, allowing the temple to rest. You could support your weight with your left hand, or you might walk the fingertips out in front like child's pose, or maybe even spin the left hand around and allow it to rest at the low back. Take a couple deep breaths here, noticing where you can soften, balancing your effort and your ease. Are there areas of the body that are working that can relax? With your next exhale, we'll slide the left hand back down to the ground, plant it underneath the shoulder, and then press into the earth as you open up the right side. On the next exhale, you can release that side. And we'll come back onto the forearms now. And let's slide the left foot back and then the right foot back to come into a plank. You can always lower onto the knees here for a little more support. Finding strength through the core, drawing the belly button towards the spine. And whenever you're ready, you can lower onto the belly, untuck the toes, stretching the legs back, and then planting the elbows underneath the shoulders. You can press the palms into your mat, into the ground, and begin to energetically slide the palms back as you reach the heart forward for Sphinx pose. Finding a soft gaze, enjoying a gentle back bend. You might roll the shoulders up towards your ears and then slide them down the back. allowing them to melt away from the ears. On your next exhale, we'll release the hands behind us. You can turn your gaze over to the left, allowing the right temple to rest. And I like to adjust myself a little bit by bringing my toes onto the mat and maybe sliding my chest a little bit forward. So find a balance. Allow yourself to gently rest here. Allowing your temple to rest heavy. You just might notice any sensation. And then on your next inhale, we'll lift everything up for locust pose, bringing the arms up, the feet up, lifting the heart and keeping a soft, gentle gaze. Let's take a few deep breaths here. And then when you're ready, let's turn the gaze to the right. And you can soften all effort, bringing your left temple to the mat. Allow yourself this moment to delight in this time of rest. And then if you have any props off to your sides, you might just press them forward to get them out of the way. We're going to do a little chest opener. So go ahead and bring your arms beside you in the letter T, and then we'll roll over onto the left side, walking the left fingertips behind you. And here again, you can allow the left temple to rest. And you might leave the legs stacked, or if you feel you might want to deepen the stretch, you could bend the right knee and plant the right foot behind you. Another option would be to bend the right leg, bend the right knee, that is, and then reach for your ankle with your right hand. Just noticing we have lots of options and variations. Just finding which one works best for you today in your body. You can begin to flex the feet towards the knees. And take a nice deep breath. Again, noticing where can you soften your effort. If you're having the foot in a bind, you can now release the foot and we'll roll back onto the belly. And this time, let's roll onto the right side. So allowing the right fingertips to creep directly behind you. You can open through the front of the chest and the shoulder. Allow the right temple to rest. You can leave the legs stacked here. Or you might bend the left knee. Allow the left foot to plant behind you. Or perhaps you want to try that bind again on this side, reaching for the left ankle with the left hand. If you're in the bind, allow the toes to flex towards the knees. And allow the left knee to soften down towards the right knee. And with your next exhale, we'll release the foot and we'll roll back onto the belly. And then you can bring the hands underneath the shoulders and start to lift the heart for baby cobra. On the next exhale, relaxing all effort, you can stack the palms and allow the forehead to rest on the back of the palms. or crocodile pose. Allow yourself to soften all effort, all gripping. Allow the breath to come into the back of the body, our seat of self-care. With the next inhale, we'll come back up into our Sphinx pose with the elbows underneath the shoulders. And then you can roll over onto the left side, propping yourself up onto your left shoulder with your head on your hand. Now we'll bring the knees out in front and you can glue the heels together, and we're going to do a few rounds of clamshells. So inhale to open the knee, the heels attached. Exhale to lower. You can just take a few rounds. You might decide to count to 10. Building a little strength in the glutes. And when you're ready, we'll glue the knees together and begin to lift the right heel up towards the sky. You might notice how this sensation is slightly different. Where are you feeling this within the glutes and the hips? So feel free to take a few rounds here, or maybe count to 10. And then we'll switch back to our clamshell, opening the knee, gluing the heels together. And if you'd like to make this a little more challenging, you could lift the feet as you glue the knees or glue the heels together. So we'll finish this round of clamshells, and then you can lower the feet back down. And once more, we'll just glue the knees together and lift the heels. So you can take about 10 repetitions. When you feel complete on this side, let's stretch the legs long. We'll bring the right knee out in front and lower it down to the ground. You can bend the left leg, and then you might allow yourself to lean back. Maybe you're able to reach down with the right hand to grasp hold of that bottom ankle. And just allow your head to be cradled by your bicep and your palm. And just relax into this twist. On your next exhale, you can release the foot. We'll slide both legs long and then roll onto the belly and roll onto the other side, cradling the right temple in the right hand. And you can bend the knees. We'll glue the heels together and take about 10 repetitions to lift and lower the top knee. Taking some smooth, steady breaths, strengthening the glutes. And you might count to 10, or just notice when you feel you've had enough on this side. And then we'll switch it up, gluing the knees together, lifting the top heel. Just noticing any sensations and variations from side to side. When you feel complete with that set, let's come back to one more round of clamshells. If you'd like this time, you can lift the feet, still gluing the heels together and lifting the top knee. And when you feel complete with that set, you can lower the knees back down. And we'll take one more round, gluing the knees together and lifting the top heel. When you feel complete on that side, you can go ahead and stretch the legs long, and then we'll bring the top knee down to the ground, bending the knee. Allow yourself to lean back, and you might grasp hold of the bottom foot with the top hand. But if that's not comfortable, you can just relax into the twist. Finding any variation that works for you. Cradling the head onto your biceps and supporting your neck with your fingertips. When you're ready, you can release the foot and we'll roll back onto the belly. Bring the palms underneath the shoulders, and you can tuck the toes under and press up through either plank or table. And then we'll find downward facing dog. You can tuck the toes under, press the hips up and back. You can always skip down dog if you'd like, or maybe find child's pose or tabletop. And we'll pedal the heels towards the earth one at a time. And now we'll find a forward fold. So you can either walk the feet towards the hands or the hands towards the feet. And just find a forward fold here, maybe wrapping the hands around the opposite elbows, allowing yourself to hang heavy, gently rocking from side to side. And you can release the hands down towards the ground and then bring the hands to the shins or to blocks. And inhale for halfway lift with a flat back. Exhale to forward fold. And then when you're ready, inhale, circle sweep the hands up towards the sky. And exhale to bring the hands to the heart center. Let's inhale, circle sweep the arms up towards the sky. Exhale, bring the hands to the heart center. And one more time, just like this. Now we'll inhale to sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale to swan dive forward. Inhale for halfway lift. And exhale to forward fold. Go ahead and bring your right hand in between your knees. Maybe your elbow can come in between your knees. And we'll lift the left arm up towards the sky for a twist. Exhale to release that side. And we'll shimmy the left arm in between the legs and reach the right arm up for a twist. Exhale to release that side. Inhale for halfway lift. And exhale, you can bend the knees and maybe sweep the hands to the heart or up past the ears for chair pose. Bending into the knees, sinking the hips back, imagining you're going to sit back into a chair. And exhale, release that, coming into a forward fold. And you can either walk the hands out in front or walk the feet behind you to find downward facing dog or child's pose. Now we'll all come into downward facing dog. And let's plant the left foot and kick the right heel behind you. You might allow the knee to bend and the hips to stack for scorpion dog. And then with your next exhale, we'll slide the right knee forward towards the right palm for pigeon pose. And you might use blocks underneath the hands, coming into an upright pigeon. And then allow yourself to gently soften down. Maybe if you have a block or a pillow, you might rest your forehead on the block. And the further this shin comes forward, the deeper you might feel the stretch into the outer right hip. If this pose doesn't feel accessible for you, you could always come onto your back. So you would slide onto your back and maybe bring your right ankle on top of your left thigh for figure four, maybe drawing the shape into the body, perhaps even taking a strap or some other fabric to wrap around the left thigh. So what I like to do is wrap the strap around my left thigh and then draw the shape into the body. That allows my shoulders and my neck to relax. You're not straining to bring the shape in. We're just looking for that stretch for the outer right thigh in either pigeon pose or on your back in figure four. From your pigeon, we'll roll onto our right hip. So if you're on your back, you can come to this pinwheel shape, sitting up. Let's inhale to reach the arms up overhead, and then we'll exhale for a twist here, bringing the left hand, onto the right knee and sending the gaze behind the right shoulder. On the next exhale, you can release the twist, and we'll either come back into tabletop or downward facing dog. From downward facing dog or table, you can kick your left heel behind you. Maybe bend your knee, allow the hips to stack for scorpion dog. And then on your next exhale, you can bring the knee underneath the body, plant the knee next to the right palm, slide the left leg behind you. And you might start in an upright pigeon, maybe with blocks underneath the hands, lifting the heart. Whenever you're ready, allowing the heart to melt down. Another option I forgot to mention is if you don't have blocks, you could always stack the fists and make a pillow to rest your forehead. Remember that you have the option to come onto your back for figure four, which is basically a very similar stretch, bringing the strap around the back of the right thigh and maybe crossing the right ankle or the left ankle over the left or over the right thigh. I'm drawing the shape to the body. Sending breath to the outer left hip, in whichever shape you find yourself in. And we'll take one more nice deep breath in pigeon. If you're on your back in a figure 4, you can come up to sitting. And if you're in pigeon, you can slide onto the left hip, coming into a pinwheel shape. And then we'll inhale, reach the arms up overhead, and exhale to twist over to the left, sending the gaze behind the left shoulder. With your next exhale, you can come back to center, and we'll slide both feet around in front. And we'll come into boat pose. So from here, you can either stay just as you are with your feet on the ground, engage with the core, or you might lift one leg, both legs, maybe one at a time. From here, if you'd like, you could either extend your arms long. So finding whichever version works best for you, keeping the heart lifted. And then with your next exhale, let's plant the feet and you can reach the arms out long and then take your time to roll onto your back, engaging with your core. And once you're on your back, you can bring both knees into your chest. Give yourself a nice gentle hug, rocking from side to side. And then if there are any last poses you'd like to take before your final resting pose, feel free to explore those now. And then we'll meet up whenever you're ready in our final resting pose, Shavasana, or corpse pose. For corpse pose, you can extend the legs long. Allow the arms to rest at your sides. Begin to relax your effort and any control of your breath. Allow your forehead to soften. Allow your eyelids to smooth out. Relax the hinge of your jaw. And soften your shoulders away from you. Take one more moment to revisit your intention for your practice today. And then allow yourself to relax, releasing all thoughts and all effort. Notice all of the places of contact that your body is making with the earth. Sense yourself resting heavy, feeling the support of the earth and all of the abundance rise to support you. You can start to reawaken the body or feel free to rest in your shavasana for any amount of time that feels right for you. If you'd like to come back to movement, you can start to invite a little bit of movement into the fingers and toes, gently rotating the wrists and the ankles. You might take a big inhale breath and reach the arms up past the ears, finding length through the body from the fingertips all the way to the heels. Whenever you're ready, you can roll onto one side, coming into a fetal position, taking a moment to rest there for a breath or two. Whenever you're ready, you can press yourself up into a seat. Maybe invite your hands to meet at your heart center, allowing your head to bow towards the wisdom of your loving heart. It's such an honor and a privilege to have this opportunity to guide you through your practice this morning. Thank you so much for being here today. Namaste.